Welcome to our 2016 $16 chair shootout.
And by chairs, we mean the 16.5 Aprilia RSV4 RR and the 16, well, depending on which options and trim you get, anywhere from 14 to 16. 2016 Kawasaki ZX-10R. Updated engine, a host of new electronics, including a 5-axis IMU, updated TC, launch control, wheelie control, you name it, the new ZX-10 has got it. Then we've got the RSV4 RR, which, if you've paid attention to our liter bike shootout last year, the Aprilia RSV4 RF, the higher performance version of that bike, came in a very, very, very close second place. So we put these two bikes together because they're both about $16,000. And Tom, what do you think?
I think Kawasaki did a really good job revamping this bike. The front end feels fantastic. It's stable, it's flickable, right? Going from 175 miles an hour down into the chicane at the bottom and just going left and right, you know, it does really well. It's comfortable right away, you know, on the street ride and at the track, you know, because the Aprilia, I don't think if you've seen any of our other shootouts or reviews, people know we like the Aprilia. It handles fantastically. But today or yesterday on the street ride, I could jump on the Kawi and I could pretty much feel just as, you know, comfortable as I could on the RSV.
Yeah, I think this new ZX-10 is leaps and bounds better than the 2015 version. I mean, well, first, I forgot to mention the new braking system on here. 330 millimeter discs with the Brembo M50 calipers, which, if you've paid attention to any of our past sport bike reviews, Ducati Panigale, for instance, we love the M50 calipers.
Yeah.
In this particular case, compared to the previous model, ZX-10R, personally, I feel I've got so much more precision with these brakes. I can brake really deep for one, but I can modulate my speed and use the brakes to steer the bike exactly where I want the bike to be. I mean, last year, it wasn't quite that precise as far as its braking performance goes. But that's no discredit to the Aprilia's Brembo Brakes.
Braking wise, yeah, Troy, I mean, you're splitting hairs. I mean, they both have fantastic, you know, front brakes. All the power you want, modulation, fantastic. Electronics though, I'd like to say, you know, on the Kawasaki, something I really liked is they put in that you can adjust the engine braking. Basically, there's two settings. You can have it on, which is normal, or you have it at light, and that, you know, just reduces the engine braking, which is fantastic. So when you're coming into that, you know, fast corner, you know, it just doesn't have that front end slam, so you can use your brakes more.
The Ninja put out 170 horse on the dyno. The RSV4, 179. If you want to be generous, we can round up to 180. We both noticed today on the track and yesterday on the street, this ZX-10, below 8 grand, it's gutless.
It makes about 140 of its horsepower, all above 11,000 RPM.
Right, you come out of a turn and you're just wicking it on and you're thinking, okay, where's the power? Where's the power? Oh, there's the power, and then it just takes off. Whereas with the Aprilia, that power is distributed evenly throughout the rev range, it feels like. You get on the power no matter where in the RPM you are, and it just takes off. No matter what gear you're in, it just feels as if it's got endless amounts of power when you want it.
Yeah, here at Fontucky Speedway, you know, through the infield section of stuff, on the Kawasaki, if you wanted good drive out of the corner, you had to be in first gear. But to be in first gear, you're, you know, way up close to red line, and it's really hard to maintain the throttle, right, going through the corner. And then when you come out, you got to kind of short shift it real quick, or it kind of lights up. Where the Aprilia, you know, you can take the same infield section, the slower corners in second gear, come pulling out, get on the throttle sooner, and, you know, it's just an easier bike to go fast on. I had to work harder to maintain the same type of speeds on the Kawi than I did on the Aprilia.
A sprocket change on the ZX-10, and you've probably got a completely transformed motorcycle. Stock to stock, that low end power on the Kawi, kind of lagging.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. Kawasaki talked about it when they, was bringing this bike out. It's a very track-worthy bike. It's, it's made for that type of purpose, riding high in the RPMs, and that's the engine they delivered. So I'm not surprised. It's just, I think, there's been a kind of mainstream trend towards lower-end, mid-range usable power, and it's kind of surprising, I guess, that Kawasaki came out with something that was so top-heavy in its power delivery. Yeah. But a lot of guys like that because it is exciting.
Yeah,
I mean, you're coming onto the banking down here, and you go over the bump, and the bars are wiggling, and then it's bouncing off, and you hit that power band, and whoo, boy, yeah. It throws your eyeballs back and gets a smile on your face. The Aprilia is just a little bit more, controlled through the whole thing.
You're still hauling ass.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, you're hauling ass, but it's a more controlled manner. And just the chassis on the Aprilia, we've said it a million times, but the chassis on the Aprilia is so composed. It's so light and nimble. It's unbelievable how they're able to make that thing handle as well as it does.
Yeah, it's rock steady all around. It's just such a confidence-inspiring. It's really, I'm out there riding, and I just kept getting better and better throughout the day, and got my track speed up going, and the bike's whispering to me the whole time, just like, Tom, don't worry, you can't do anything wrong. I got your back, it's good. And you just, man, it's just a feeling that's hard to beat on almost any sport bike.
But since the big talking point about either of these bikes and the sport bike field in general is electronics, like Tom mentioned earlier, let's delve into that just a tiny little bit. Both bikes feature traction control. So the ZX-10R has the 5-axis IMU, and so the TC settings have been updated over the 2015 model with all this power to the back tire. I'm coming on to this really fast left-hand turn in the infield here, lean the bike over, and I'm hard on the gas, and that back tire is spinning on both bikes. And the fun thing on both of these is I would otherwise be launched to the moon if it weren't for the TC settings on both of these bikes. I think it's brilliant. I'm not racing either one of these things, so I don't really care about my lap times today. As far as fun factor goes, just being able to slide both of these bikes, knowing that the electronics were saving my butt from flying to Mars, it makes a world of difference to me. It's just so much fun to do that.
We've got to mention too that, like the Aprilia, which we've said over and over again since the introduction, it's always had the paddle shifters that you can adjust on the fly. Kawasaki does do that. It's just a thumb operated switch where you can go up and down. The only thing that's a little bit weird is to decrease the traction control, you push the up button, and to increase it, you push the down button. So, we got to familiarize yourself with that a little bit, but otherwise, it works really good. Yeah, I mean, both of them, both systems, fantastic.
So that's the nuts and bolts of the Aprilia RSV4 RR and the 2016 Kawasaki ZX-10R. Which one is going to win? That's kind of tough.
You know what I think it comes down to? Like we were saying, you could change the gearing on the Kawasaki, and actually you probably would have a fantastic all-around motorcycle, right? It'd only be a sprocket change. On the Aprilia, about the only thing you need to do is change the seat. If it was my money, I had to go out and spend $16,000 a day. Yeah, I'd probably pull it out and still spend it on the Aprilia.
I got to agree, it's a close call, but at the end of the day, I think the Aprilia wins me over, but just by the tiniest of margins. Nothing against the Kawasaki. It's worlds better than the 2015 model. But that Aprilia is just so darn good. Well, as you can see, this is just the nuts and bolts of this test. There's way more to talk about, right, Tom? Well,
yeah, we'll gotta go back, fill out the scorecard. That determines it, and to our surprise, many times. But yeah, I think we're leaning the Aprilia's way. So for the video, if you want to have a winner, go with the Aprilia. But if you want to know more, the details and all the other stuff that we're going to write about, go to Motorcycle.com and check it out there.